what the LFA is not. This is not a concept vehicle. The LFA is a production vehicle. And let's start by finding out what LFA stands for. Lexus, Fuji, Apex. Fuji is a racetrack in Japan where this vehicle was tested and inspired, and the Apex, as we may know, is the pinnacle, the peak of the mountain here at Lexus. Now, LFA is a Formula 1 or F1 inspired supercar. Top speed is governed at 202 miles an hour. It can go from 0 to 60 in just 3.6 seconds. Now, this rear spoiler is going to deploy at 48 miles an hour. As you can see, we already have it up for you. But that's going to add up to 800 pounds of downforce on the rear of the LFA, helping you control it at high speeds. Under the hood, a Lexus first 4.8 liter 40 valve 10 individual throttle body V10 engine that is normally or naturally aspirated, folks, meaning there is no turbocharger and no supercharger giving you the power in this engine. But you do have 552 natural horsepower under the hood right out of the gun, and it has an outstanding red line of 9,000 RPMs in just 0.6 seconds. Let's check this out. Hand-built aluminum V10 engine. There's some titanium and magnesium components. It's forged aluminum pistons with titanium rods, in case you were wondering. Sits low. It is a dry sump system, so there is no oil pan in this vehicle. Essentially, you could take this engine out, flip it upside down, put it back in, and it should run exactly the same. And it has also been designed to handle twice the force of gravity, or a 2G turn, for those optimum turns on a racetrack. And like any painting, the artist would like to have their signature on it. So the people who hand-build these engines, the lucky few in the world, bear their signature on the engine block. They are handmade in the Morimoto plant just outside Tokyo, Japan, at the rate of about 20 per month. And they sit a little low, and they look a little small for a V10 because it is. It's about the size of a traditional V8 and weighs about as much as the 3.5 liter V6 in that GS350 right behind you, just to put things in perspective. You also may be wondering, what is this interesting pattern under the hood? That is carbon fiber, that's right, sir. Reason being, though this is painted white, as it sits, the LFA is made up of over 65% aeronautical grade carbon fiber reinforced polymer, which we make in-house. Lexus, in fact, designed the technology that makes the carbon fiber in this LFA, and as you can see, we've exposed it under the hood, inside the door panels, floorboards, steering wheel, up to 10 layers thick of hand-laid carbon fiber in the driver and passenger's tub. And what that means for you is an extremely light, high-performance vehicle. As it sits, the LFA weighs just 3,263 pounds, but it is not only just light, it's extremely well balanced. The weight distribution on the Lexus Fuji Apex is 48% on the front and 52% of the weight over the rear tires. And you may be wondering, oh, the engine's in the front. Shouldn't it be heavier in the front? It is not. It's exactly what they wanted. The engineers were able to achieve that. These black grills on the rear of the vehicle, those dual honeycomb or dual rear-mounted rear radiators. If you follow these lines across the front of the LFA and the side mirrors, these grooves, they're going to push air into these huge air intakes through those dual-mounted rear radiators. And the transmission is also located on the rear of the LFA. It is a trans-axle design carbon fiber torque tube encased drive shaft heading right to the engine, so that that center of gravity goes right through the driver's waist. Exactly what the engineers wanted. But you do not only get performance like that, you also get an F1 inspired sound. Around the rear of the vehicle, you may notice this tri-tip titanium exhaust. In fact, the entire exhaust system in the LFA is titanium. And this system was acoustically tuned by Yamaha's music department. The same people that make musical instruments at Yamaha tuned the sound of this LFA to have that F1 inspired sound. It's a technology called sound cueing. There are actual physical chambers heading from the engine block into the cabinet, so that the high octave note comes over the dash, the low octave note comes right under the driver's ankles. And what does that mean for you? That means whether you're going 20 or 120, you will always have that F1 inspired note in your LFA. Okay, last but not least, only 500 LFAs will ever exist in the world. That is it. This is number 245 out of 500. Less than 200 of those 500 will make it to the United States. They come in 30 different colors, several panels of interior that packaging, different wheel options, color brake calipers, and there are less than a handful in the world that are left for order. Mathematically, since there are so few in the world and so many options, all I'm saying is you may never see two LFAs that are built exactly the same. Now the lucky last few folks that will get to own an LFA, maybe even in time for Mother's Day, will have it at the base price of $375,000, folks. That's right. You do get what you pay for. And if you want any literature on the LFA, please don't be bashful. I love this car. Or if you have any questions that I didn't answer in my presentation, let me know. I can answer that for you. I also invite you to check out how some of the technology on this vehicle has already made it down to the rest of the line, because yes, it is about showcasing technology, but it has to be functional. And the new GS, which is right behind you folks, the aerodynamics on that GS came directly from what they learned designing the LFA, which is why that GS is the lowest coefficient of drag in its class, or in other words, the most aerodynamic vehicle in its class. Thank you so much. Also for my Spanish speakers, si tienen cualquier pregunta, no tengas pena, me llamo Eduardo, me encantaría ayudarte. Enjoy the rest of your evening here at the New York International Auto Show.